So we'll be talking about vitamin C today. And as I was discussing before, I'm going to repeat it and then we'll go. It is very quick. Number one, vitamin C is a naturally occurring substance. It is ascorbic acid. It is found in plants and in citrus fruit. That is the fruit that have a little acidic, taste to them, like oranges, and tomatoes and green vegetables. Now, for the vegetable nowadays, do not eat uncooked vegetable that is coming from outside. Either wash it properly for 10 minutes in the water, or just use, let's say, broccoli and boil it and then use it. Tomatoes are fine. One orange, medium-sized orange, has 77% of the daily need in it. So you can easily get vitamin C daily need from the food that you eat. The daily need for the vitamin C is 90 milligram for men, adult men, 75 milligram for women, add 30 milligram for pregnant women, so 75 plus 30, 105 milligram, and then add 35 milligram for smokers. So if you're smoking, then add another 35 milligram to allow it to help protect your lungs. It doesn't do a great job, so that doesn't mean you keep smoking, but it does help protect the lungs a little bit. So we will talk about the vitamin and immune system in a second. There is a question there. So it is a water-soluble vitamin. So keep this in mind. Because it is water-soluble, it is an ascorbic acid. It is charged, so it can combine with water. And because of that, if you eat it in extra quantity, it would simply be washed out in pee, in urine. So do not eat extra dose because you think it might be saved in the body for longer term. It does not get saved. So that is one. Then the deficiency of vitamin C is called scurvy. And I'll talk about that in a second. Overdose or toxicity doesn't really cause toxicity, but overdose of this can cause severe diarrhea. So be very careful. Large doses can cause diarrhea. Now, in today's context, why we are talking about vitamin C and COVID-19, people had observed in the past that if vitamin C is deficient in someone, remember in the sailors, when vitamin C would be deficient, they would develop scurvy or the bleeding from the gums. There was one more observation, and that is that the people who had vitamin C deficiency, they developed more pneumonias. They developed more respiratory problems or infections. That is when the vitamin C and its connection with infection discussion started. This became even more interesting when in 1970, Dr. Paul, who is a Nobel Prize winner, he wrote a book saying that vitamin C is necessary and it helps against the, I believe, flu and other things. Although his studies have not been proved, but because of that, since 1970, it has become a craze that somehow vitamin C should be something that would help with infections and with the pulmonary infections. So this is the background. Let's look at the vitamin C's function for a second so that we have a background of what we are going to talk about, if vitamin C can help with COVID-19 or not. So I'm going to share my screen and we'll talk about the vitamin C and its function. So in here, what happens is, first of all, we have to understand the concept of oxygen, reactive, oxygen species. And I'm sure that all of you know it. You're all related to medicine. And so you know what are reactive oxygen species, or ROS. What ROS are, I'm just going to tell a high level concept here. Look, inside of our cell, we take oxygen and then we take nutrition, and then we combine these things to make ATP. We want to make ATP inside the cell because ATP act as the batteries or the energy for the cell. Right? So cell can use energy in the form of ATP. So what happens is, inside the mitochondria of the cell, this oxygen passes through the electron chain, which will help finally generate ATP. And what happens in that electron chain is, and I'm keeping our discussion high level, between complex, it doesn't matter if you do not know the electron chain, but there are a number of proteins that are involved, and I am more concerned with the protein complex 1 and complex 3. Between these two complexes, when oxygen is being moved, when electrons are being moved, sometimes some electron leak out. They're supposed to continue going forward, but they leak out and they go to oxygen. So let's make an oxygen here. And what happens is oxygen traps one extra electron from here. So this becomes a radical. This becomes a reactive oxygen species. I'm going to write these as ROS from now on. Reactive oxygen species. Why is that reactive oxygen species? Let me give you an example. Imagine you have an atom, and that atom has 2 electrons in the outer valency shell. These 2 electrons are now keeping each other in balance. Imagine if you have a disk with 2 electrons and you're rotating it, they will be balanced. On the other hand, if you took 1 electron out and now you have the nucleus with only 1 electron on the side of it, if you rotate this fast, this nucleus is going to wobble and it is going to become very destructive. So this electron, the isolated electron, when this wobbles on the atom, it kind of traps the atoms next door and damages them. So reactive oxygen species, they cause damage to other cells and proteins, damage to cell parts. So this is what is important. And now reactive oxygen species are produced in our cells all the time because we do the ATP production or energy production all the time. Secondly, reactive oxygen species or ROS can also be produced from external things. For example, chemicals can cause reactive species to be produced. Ultraviolet rays can cause reactive species to be produced. And there are so many other mechanisms by which these dangerous tissue damaging reactive oxygen species are produced. Now, there is one more area, and that is in our immune cells. In the immune cells, especially phagocytic cells. Phagocytic cells. What are phagocytic cells? These are those cells that can arrest a pathogen. So let's say this is coronavirus. This phagocytic cell would arrest it and bring it in. And when it would bring it in, the phagocytic cells, they produce something called H2O2, which is going to kill this virus. This is a very highly reactive hydrogen peroxide, right? So it is called peroxide. It is very, 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 very highly reactive, and it causes severe damage, right? So, correct, inflammation also produces, this is the mechanism of producing of the peroxide. So what happens is in the immune cells, during the process of infection, a lot of peroxide is produced, which is a reactive oxygen species as well. And it is produced to burn the pathogen, to kill the pathogen. But in this process, this reactive oxygen species can also cause damage in other areas too. Cool. Then there is another area where we have NADPH, which is also used to create radicals, and NADPH based immune system functions are also going to use ascorbic acid. Now remember this, when these functions are occurring in the electron chain here, we need ascorbic acid. We need ascorbic acid or vitamin C to help with this electron transfer. Similarly, over here, ascorbic acid is also helpful to reduce the damage of the ROS that are produced. So the first takeaway that I would like you to have is the following. Ascorbic acid or vitamin C is needed to help neutralize the reactive oxygen species that are formed. These are formed, as you can see, during the energy production, and these are formed during the process when our immune cells are working. So these are the two functions which are related to reactive oxygen species. A third function which is very important is collagen synthesis. So what happens is, in the process of collagen formation, collagen is a substance that is present in our skin, that is present in our tissue. The hardness of our skin and the toughness of our body tissues comes from collagen. And if collagen is less in us, then we develop that fragility of the connective tissue, due to which what happens is, so when I'm going to come to me for a second, when the collagen is less, so all of this elasticity in the tissue, most of this is coming from the collagen. So when collagen is less, that causes the gums to start bleeding because they become very soft. Similarly, blood vessels, they need collagen as well for being intact or to be correctly functioning, and their strength is maintained by collagen. When collagen is less, the blood vessels become unsupported as well, and they start bleeding too. This is why vitamin C deficiency causes bleeding of the gums, and there are hemorrhages or small blood spots. So two kind of functions for vitamin C. Number one, to help neutralize the reactive oxygen species, which are being produced during the ATP production and which are being produced when our immune cells are working. And second is to help synthesize collagen. What is that synthesis? Let's look at it. So what happens is, when collagen molecule is being formed, in the beginning, the collagen molecule is called procollagen. It is not yet final, and this procollagen is hydroxylized. This hydroxylation, the enzymes that do that function, so let's say this is an enzyme. This enzyme is going to help hydroxylize the collagen. This enzyme needs ascorbic acid or vitamin C. It needs vitamin C. So vitamin C is necessary with NADPH. Vitamin C is necessary to allow the hydroxylation of procollagen, which will then move towards collagen. So I hope then it is clear that if vitamin C is not present, or if we are deficient in vitamin C, there are following kind of issues that would appear. What do you think would happen? Look, if vitamin C is deficient now from this, number one, reactive oxygen species will not be neutralized that easily. That means our body would go in a state of inflammation and damage. Number two, our immune cells will not function appropriately because vitamin C is not present, and they need vitamin C when they're making reactive oxygen species. Those reactive oxygen species need to be neutralized. Extra species need to be neutralized by vitamin C. Then if vitamin C is less, the collagen synthesis is lesser as well, which causes overall the fragility of the connective tissue. So this is the, of course, dry skin, we have bleeding gums, we have coarse skin, we have hemorrhages throughout the body, immune system function goes down. So all of those epithelial lining of the lungs, that become less, that becomes fragile. The skin lining becomes fragile. So all of those things are a problem. So this is so far what is a function of vitamin C. So now let's connect vitamin C to COVID-19 and see if it can actually be helpful or not helpful. So I have a number of studies here. I'm going to show you in a second. So let me show you some studies, and I will put those studies in the description. Links to those studies, I'll put them in the description. So look, first of all, here is an article. This is not a study. Can vitamin C protect you from COVID-19? I liked this article. They had referred a lot of studies as well, which I like. Then there is this study over here. This is just what is antioxidant. Here is a request for study because some people have said that, hey, it is useful. We'll talk about that. Here is a study which is showing that how vitamin C can be useful for the immune cells. And then this is another study talking about the immune cells. So let me explain now what these studies are saying. So let me explain what is in those studies. There are two interesting studies about vitamin C and their role in infections and possibly flu infection. Let me say this, there is no study yet for COVID-19. There is a study ongoing in China right now for COVID-19 where they are giving mega doses of vitamin C IV. And I want us all to become smart enough to understand this. Giving vitamin C IV is different from taking orally. If you take a lot of vitamin C, it is just going to go through your GIT, pull the water with it, and just cause diarrhea. If you absorb a lot of vitamin C and it goes in the blood, eventually it's going to become bound to water and be peed out in the urine. So taking larger doses of vitamin C are of no use orally. What they are doing there in China is they are giving mega doses of vitamin C, like 1 gram. Remember, its normal need is 90 milligram. 90 milligram. They are giving 1 gram to 3 gram of vitamin C IV every, I think, twice or thrice a day. So they are doing a study in China. This study would conclude in September. So till September, we will not know what is going on. The earlier studies that I am referring here, these studies are of course not about COVID-19. These studies are about the other incidents, especially common cold and flu. So there are two interesting studies. One study was done, or it was actually a meta study. So what they did was they took lots of other studies and they took the information from them and they made sense of them. They created statistics on top of them. So that study says, so hear this out, in people with excessive physical activity, for example, athletes, for example, military people, for example, players and stuff like that, the people who are engaged, bodybuilders, who are engaged in physical activity which is strenuous, which is not normal like us, when they were given mega doses, I'm saying, not the normal dose, when they were given mega doses of vitamin C, it reduced their chances of getting pulmonary infections or flu or common cold. According to the studies, they said that there was 0 common cold symptoms that appeared in the people with the extra strenuous physical activity. So how do we make sense of that study? I think, so this is my opinion, I think that the people who are engaged in physical activity, they are producing a lot of reactive oxygen species because they're making a lot of energy, ATP. And their cells are also active. And for that, they need ascorbic acid to help them. So because they were producing more ROS, they were looking at more ascorbic acid need as well. And so ascorbic acid was needed. And maybe people who are athletic, who are physically active and are engaged in active system activities, their immune systems are generally better and they are not contracting the common cold or flu. But the study said that they all did not contract it. So that is one. Another study that I have here, that study says that they did a study on about 460 students, and half of them received mega dose of vitamin C, again in grams. I think it was 1 gram. So they received mega doses of vitamin C, and they say that in 85% of the students who were receiving vitamin C, 85% did not develop common cold or flu-like symptoms, while in the control, majority developed the symptoms. So these are two interesting studies. Then there are other studies that also say that in normal people like you and I, or at least I, if you are athletic, then I'm sorry. Normal people, I'm not that athletic. I'm not a military person. I'm not a bodybuilder. I'm not an athlete. So in normal people, extra oral dose of vitamin C only provides 8% benefit if they become sick with flu, 8% benefit to recover fast. So that means that the flu symptoms can be reduced by 1 day. And in children, the study said that children recovered faster in 14%, which is about 1.5 days. That is it. So if you look at these studies, then the conclusion becomes that having oral larger doses of vitamin C do not have any effect on normal, healthy individuals. But if they have become sick and they are in the hospital, then it may be interesting to give them IV megadoses of vitamin C that seem to have been helping, and there should be more studies. Now, with this discussion, I want to give you my opinion as well. My opinion is the following. Because vitamin C helps with the immune system cells activity, so it seemed to help with the phagocytes activity. It seems to help with and I explained to you the mechanism. It seems to help neutrophils and macrophages. It seems to help with the natural killer cell function. It seems to help with the epithelial cells of the lungs, and it makes them stronger and they're not easily broken. Their water channels are not easily damaged, which cause inflammation during COVID-19 or flu. So because of all of that, my recommendation is to take vitamin supplement. All of those studies and the article that you see, they would simply say that for COVID-19, there is no need for vitamin. It doesn't do anything. Although my opinion is that taking vitamin C, don't take it in large doses. Take in oral doses, 90 milligram is needed. So 2 oranges maybe a day or equivalent to that, either in tablet form or in vegetables. Take that so your immune system and your cells always have the right amount of vitamin C available. Because the studies also found that when the infection starts, the need for ascorbic acid to help neutralize the reactive oxygen species, that need increases. So let's say if the infection starts in me today and I'm not aware and the virus is replicating, maybe if I have the right amount of vitamin C available, it would do some hindrance to the virus's activity. But this is also my conclusion from these studies. Vitamin C cannot prevent or it cannot cure COVID-19. But I think for our cells to stay healthy and to be able to fight better, we should take vitamin C either in the food or maybe a supplement, but don't go crazy with it. Don't go eating too much. Don't go popping too many tablets. Have a good quality supplement. Take it. It does not harm. It makes you stronger and better. And that is what we need at this time. So this is the discussion. I hope that this has helped. Let us look at the questions. So there is a question, but doesn't vitamin C compete with glucose transportation in the bloodstream? So definitely don't take vitamin C. Not really. I mean, it's not in that much of an effect that the glucose transport would become damaged. Would proper collagen production with high doses of vitamin C be very helpful? Well, if the collagen destruction is going on, let's say the inflammation is happening and collagen is being destroyed, then we definitely need vitamin C in appropriate amounts for the collagen reproduction. I don't think that extra amount of vitamin C helps anything with the collagen production. I think the extra doses that they are trying would help with the immune cells. And again, I do not know because the studies are still going on. Thank you very much. Kush, thank you very much. What about Biswaroop Rai Chaudhary? He is saying that Corona is just business. Well, guys, look, if you see my discussions, I'm not getting into politics. I'm not getting into biowarfare discussions. I'm not getting into people making money from it. For me, the concern is your health, my health, our community's health. And at this time, it is a war or it is a business, there is still a need for us to stay healthy. And if in this process we learn how to live hygienically, we learn how to be able to be careful from others transmitting infections, we learn how to keep our body healthy, that is all useful, that is all valuable. It is changing our lifestyle towards a better thing. And in that process, if it helps with our lives as well, it is great. Okay, what other question do we have? Does daily running help your body with a good diet and daily? Of course, it does. I have a question for you, absolutely. So here is a question. Question just scroll up so far. Does vitamin C also neutralize the effect of cathelicidine secreted by phagocytic cells? I do not know. But from this, I remember this point that vitamin C also help from the neutrophil. Remember, neutrophil creates nets. These are extracellular networks that end up also causing damage to the blood vessels. Vitamin C somehow reduces that net production by neutrophils as well, which is an interesting effect that is desirable. So there's a question, which food to eat? So one orange, medium size, gives you 77% of vitamin C's need. Broccoli has it, green vegetables have it, tomatoes have it. So eat a tomato, eat an orange, and you're good. Any citrus fruit is good. So I'm taking 500 milligram tablet daily. 90 milligram is a requirement. If there is, you're not overdosing with 500 milligram, but don't take more than that. I certainly agree with you, Dr. Mobeen. Thank you very much, Elizabeth. My conclusion is a little different from the articles. Articles are saying just don't do anything. It's of no use. I think that at this time we need to stay healthy and we need to stay as fit as possible. So taking vitamin C definitely gives our body a chance to keep healthy. Very good. Very good. So guys, thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much for joining. I'm going to try that tomorrow we talk about vitamin D and that effect on COVID-19 and generally, what would that be? Vitamin D, I tell my friends and patients that when they are going through the milder case of COVID-19, make sure that their vitamin D levels are correct. Vitamin D should not be taken off the, it is a prescription drug. So don't take it because overdose of vitamin D can cause toxicity. Vitamin C doesn't cause that bad of the effect. So we'll talk more about vitamin D tomorrow. So what will happen if we inject IV scorbut in our, don't do it, please. So no, if you need, look, vitamin D, vitamin C, IV is only needed when you are sick. So I pray that you don't become sick. And if you are sick enough to be hospitalized, then doctors can do it if they think it is necessary. So once again, thank you very much. Thank you for joining. I'm going to hang up now and I'll see you guys at 6 p.m. tomorrow, Pacific Standard Time. Thank you very much for joining from so many countries, and it is night and day and evening. So thank you very much.